So, what would you say is your definition of happiness?
See, I think, and this is something that I've mentioned in the book also, I think fundamentally there are two things that we are meant to do. One is to be able to express our uniqueness, to the extent that we can. Second is to be able to experience life fully and to learn and grow. If we do both of these in the right way, I think it will lead us to a state of happiness. Now, obviously, while it is just two statements, there is a lot of thing that goes into these statements. Just expression is really about discovering your purpose, living your purpose, having a meaning in life, being of service to others, and then your whole life is kind of working for something beyond your personal gain, and then that obviously kind of engages you at a level which is much deeper than perhaps just working for a job or working for money and so on. So so that shifts you into a much better state. Now, experiencing life fully is the other part, which is to be just to be completely present in the moment, enjoy the ups and downs, deal with the difficult situations that you have with a sense of presence, and to be able to heal ourselves of some of our our tendencies, our weaknesses, our addictions, and and so on, and thereby freeing us of the cage that we put around ourselves to experience life fully. I think in a nutshell, for me, if you're able to do these two things, it is going to kind of lead us to a happier state. Now, what is a happier state? I think in my own experience, it is to be able to one, to just be at peace, which is that not let things around you rattle you too much and push you off. It does rattle you at times, but if you have the ability to come back very quickly, not kind of get engaged with that whole negative spiral too much, that's one clear state that you can be in. The other state is that often I've seen that our whole head is very crowded. We are distracted. And that's by nature. We are
Right.
programmed for negativity. We are programmed to survive from based on evolution, and some of that programming remains with us, and hence our whole orientation is quite negative and fearful. And when you do these habits and move, these fears and the things that negative mindset reduces a lot, allowing you to be in a far less stressful state. So being peaceful, far less stressful, and that's really the state where you are most present to then deal with what life offers you. And it's not that things will not be bad, and that's not what I'm saying. That you're here, life will have its ups and downs, circumstances outside you will be whatever it is, but the key is your response. If you are in these states, your response to some of these challenges are far more balanced, far more effective, and really that's what I am kind of interested in.
Right. I think you hit upon two areas which maybe somebody may think of me as pessimistic, but in collective cultures, like countries, like the cultures in Asian countries, maybe Japanese, Chinese, Indian, we tend to destroy our uniqueness because we are a collective culture rather than an individualistic culture like maybe the UK and the US, which doesn't mean that everything they do is right. Yeah. It's not an all-out defense of westernization, but that is something that is definitely there in the West in a big way. They want to go all out there and express their uniqueness, and they probably frown upon sameness. And the other thing also, I think the people from the West have already read your book, is the experiencing and learning and growing. There is a lot of focus on experiences rather than material possessions. And there was a lot of focus, and maybe there is still a lot of focus on material possessions. But I think developing countries, since they have been materially deprived, tend to focus so much on material possessions that they don't tend to think of experiences as something great, as something to put a lot of time, energy, and money. So I think I think these 2 points are absolutely critical for happiness, and it's very well explained by you. And in fact, one of the things that you mentioned is what I wanted to ask you in the third part of this interview. Is you mentioned about negative thinking, and you mentioned that it exists for a reason. It exists because it was absolutely critical for our survival, and it is still very critical for our survival. If you see a bunch of people running out of your office, it's good to presume the worst and run out of the office yourself, rather than say, "Oh, it's probably a false alarm." Because if it's not a false alarm and you're not thinking negatively, you could lose your life. There could be an earthquake, there could be a fire in the building. So negative thinking has a very important space in our minds. So how does one balance positivity and negative thinking? Because if one is Panglossian, I think that's a word invented by Charles Dickens, then one could easily get cheated. One could easily be very poor at risk management. So how much positivity and negativity should we have, and where do you draw the line?